For many years, Barbara and I sat with a very wise man, a Native American shaman named Will Kingbear. Will taught us many things. One thing he said, one of the most perplexing things he ever said, was, carry death on your shoulder to advise you on how to live. I'm still working on what that means, but what I do know is no one in my life has ever demonstrated that better than Lisa Rowe. We are all sitting at the feet of a great master. Listen up. It's all yours.
No pressure, you're right. So I would like to just take a deep breath and take all of you in before I get started on this. Just look around and feel you, know you. And what I want you to know is there's not a person here, a person listening, that has not been part of who I am. For the one thing I know with absolute no doubt at all is that we are one. I am me because each of us is who we are. Each of us is each other. I know that. And I am so grateful for this incredible opportunity that John and Barbara have given me to be with my people again, to be able to look out there and feel the love and know the love. And I warn you, there may be tears. Because tears are part of it too. And so with that, let me get started on this thing called dying. And being a little bit warped, I just have to put this out there. For years, I have been dying to speak at the center. It took dying to get me here. Yeah. And what I will tell you as I go into my story, into what I'm saying today, is that's a very good thing. And before I go into my story, I'm going to ask you to keep in mind as I talk several points, because they're threaded in here, and what I noticed is they have been threaded in the songs we sang today, the treatment that was given, the amazing gift of music that Breezy gave me. And the first and foremost is, in order to master this thing called dying, we need to master this thing called living. And one way we do that is to remember we are always at choice, always at choice. And one of the big lessons that I have learned on this particular leg of my journey is, and this was invaluable, we are never alone. We are never alone. Even in the darkest moment, in the middle of the night in the hospital, we are never alone. Angels appear, ministers appear. So keeping that in mind, I'm going to start with my story, what this journey has been about, kind of the timeline of it, because I'm not sure that everybody here knows that. And no, I'm not going to go back to the end of January where my body knew something was going on. I'm going to August 15th, when I finally knew that I needed a different set of eyes, a different heart to look at me and perhaps tell me what was going on. Because for all those months I had been doing the I don't need to know. I know I'm whole, complete, and perfect. And yet there was that intellect that said, I need to know, I need to know. So on August 15th, in the ER at Mission St. Joe, an incredible and amazing ER doctor, along with his medical student, nailed it. They named it. They named what my body had been doing. And what they named it was stage 4 ovarian cancer. I remember tears came to my eyes, and then I looked into Dr. Foy's eyes, and he just quietly whispered, he said, I think you know this. And he was absolutely right. My body knew. I had blocked it, but my body knew. That was both the most amazing day I've lived and the most torturous. Amazing because I had the answer. And with any kind of answer comes that ability to make a choice on how I'm going to respond, how I'm going to react if that's what I need to do. At the same time, I was laying there in a completely depleted body, a body that had been shedding itself for months. And in that darkest moment, when the lights were dim, Barbara came to see me. I asked her. And she's the one that reminded me I was at choice. And no matter the choice I made, it was the right choice. Because ultimately, there is no right and wrong. It's whatever I choose and however I choose to do it that would support me. And then I let go. I let go. I gave up the battle that had been in me for so many months. I just relaxed. I surrendered to the moment. I surrendered to that which I already knew, that I was always at choice. And the next day, this amazing team of oncologists had come together to give me options. And I took the options. Well, I took them after they did a procedure that allowed me to eat and enjoy it for the first time in months. And that was, and I recognize now the fact that I had real food that I could chew, even though it wasn't very much. That was when I knew I had a choice. And what I chose was to go for the first round of chemo. And I did. I did it with amazing support from the physicians and nurses and CNNs and even the wonderful Jamaican woman who cleaned my room at the hospital. They all were right there beside me, holding me up, giving me the energy that I needed to get through this. Because the doctors assured me I had more than enough energy for whatever it was that I decided to do. And let me tell you, chemo is not what they show you on TV. It is a 4 to 5 hour experience. I'll just put it that way. And thanks to one of our members who has experienced this before, I went in knowing that the physicians and nurses were going to call it poison. And with the support of my friend Nancy, I turned that around a little. It became liquid love. And because I had been told that liquid love was going after the fastest growing cells in my body, I decided, with my imagination, to take it a step further. And I dressed my liquid love in custom-made Nike runners with rainbows on them. And when the second set of liquid stuff came to me, I said, you're liquid peace. And so the hippie came out. She had to put them in high-top basketball shoes with peace signs all over them. So that's what got us through those 4 to 5 hours. And later I realized with that choice, I had given myself the luxury of time. Because over the next few weeks, some in the hospital, some in rehab, and then back in the hospital, I had clarity. And I have to thank all of the practitioners here at the center, all of the practitioners not at the center, and other people I called in. What I had invited them to know with me through this was peace and clarity. And there were very few moments during those first couple of weeks that I didn't experience this amazing sense of peace, this amazing sense of clarity. And so I'll jump back. I'm back in the hospital because at rehab, different things were going on with my body that rehab couldn't take care of. And believe it or not, I ended up on the heart ward because one of the things that was responding to all of this was my heart. You know, it was, to me, it had broken wide open. It had broken wide open and it invited everybody and everything in the world into it. The doctors were not so sure that that was what was going on. And on the third night there, to say I was uncomfortable is an understatement. To say I was in pain is an overstatement. But my physical self wanted something different. And so I listened to some music that had been put in Dropbox for my listening pleasure. I leaned back, and something absolutely mystical happened. For the first time in weeks, there was no discomfort. It was as though I were 6 inches off the mattress, floating there with such clarity. And the phrase that came to me, the phrase that kept coming to me is, love will show the way. Love will show the way. I didn't necessarily know what that meant, but I knew that that was my point of choice. I knew that that was where my clarity was going to come from. And as I'd been talking to my body for months, I figured, let's ask my body, what does that mean? And all that my body could tell me was, I don't belong here anymore. And it was being the one-time market researcher and strategic planner and business development person that I was, I had to know more. It's like, oh, you don't want to be on the heart ward anymore. Silence. Oh, you don't want to be in the hospital anymore. Silence. And every question I asked it was silence until I said, you don't want to be here anymore. My own body was telling me it was time to let go. It was time to surrender and allow whatever it was that was going to happen to happen. So I made my choice. That was the last round of chemo. There would be no multiple rounds of chemo. There would be no major surgery and reconstruction of my internal organs. I was free to go home. And there was, along with the peace, along with the clarity, this amazing, amazing sense of freedom. Yeah. And then I have to tell you, the palliative care people that work, in my case through Care Partners as well as Mission, just came in like angels. And I'm sure they are angels. I'm actually sure that, like all of us, they are that divine and infinite in form. It is who we are. And when we get to rise to do what it is we've come here to do, amazing things happen. And I mean, it was 24 hours, and I was in my own house, experiencing the space that I loved and adored both for the last 13 years by myself, but also for the years prior to that with my husband, Klaus. So that's the story. The lessons in it, the lessons I received in it, came in various forms, various ways. I'm going to start going back through that 6-month process. One of the things that I truly got to embody was that I'm not my body. I'm not my body. I'm not what I do. Those are things that are so easy for me to identify with, but that's not the truth of who I am. The truth of who I am is that I am love, I am peace, I am joy. And the fact that I've gotten you to laugh a little tells me joy is alive and well in this room, and keep it here and spread it around the world. Yeah. Because when we lighten up, we literally light up. So I got that. I'm not my body. I'm not what I do. What did that leave me? Well, dang, it left me to be my big S self. It left me to be the truth of all of us. And part of that truth is I was suddenly faced with to-do lists only if I wanted to do them. I could actually relax into the concept of being, just being. I could put on the newest Marina Ray album. I could put on Richard Schulman's music. I could put on the music from the Dropbox, or some that Breezy had sent to me, or others have sent to me, and I could just hang out in this magical place of knowing all is well, and all is well, and all is well. And then my mind, of course, would start to chatter a little and said, well, you know, we talk about, as practitioners, as ministers, whole and complete and perfect. Well, one of the other lessons on this journey was we define whole and complete and perfect according to how we want it to be, according to how we believe it should be. The magic is when we let go of that story, when we let go of the concept of right and wrong, good and bad, it is already whole, complete, and perfect. And it was. So those were the lessons up to that time. And then a friend, she knows who she is, on the telephone one day asked me, what have you learned? And not meaning to be a smart aleck, well, maybe letting part of the truths of me come out, I said, I've learned that I've been doing my work. I have been doing my work. I've been doing it for years, not always knowing I was doing it. And after we hung up, and I thought about it, I said, so exactly what is my work? What is it that I have been doing all these years that brought me to this point of such peace, such clarity? And I realized, above all else, it was faith. And I have a quote from Ernest Holmes here. Out of Living Science of Mind, that I came across, not intending to come across about that time. The way to get rid of fear is through the cultivation of faith, a faith founded on the thought that God is all there is. I'm going to read that again because I think it's such a profound thing and such an easy thing to lose track of as we walk along this incredible plane called planet Earth in these amazing physical forms called bodies. The way to get rid of fear is through the cultivation of faith. A faith founded on the thought that God is all there is. God is all there is. And you know what God is? God is light. God is love. God is wisdom and beauty and joy and peace and power. And that's all there is. And if that's all there is, we know it's us too. So when we hold on to that and let it all else go, it is easy. Not always comfortable, but it is easy. And for me, I would do an addendum to this, because it's a faith that I've had since I was a junior in high school. The faith in the fact that there is eternal life. Eternality and immortality, I think, are the words we use in some of what we believe. Faith in that releases us from the fear, releases us from the needing to control. Because one of the senses of freedom comes from, I am clueless what it's going to look like. I am clueless what it's going to feel like. There are all kinds of books that try to tell me what I'll experience, but I know I'm going to do it my way because I've done my whole life my way. And that is just exciting. I anticipate that. I've also decided I'm going to have fun coming back and haunting a few of you. Just to let you know. Just to let you know. Yeah. So faith, knowing what it is that we believe and practicing it. And practice is not always easy. It's not always on the agenda. It's not always in the schedule. There are so many things that here in physical form we want to go out and do. But it's kind of, in my eyes, which I now call the Eyes of Love, having started a group called Seeing Through the Eyes of Love, and that was part of this process. If we always take time to look through the eyes of love, to tap into that loving kindness that is the truth of who we are, we get to see who all of us are. All of us who are in this room. And I remember in a class that Barbara gave before I was a practitioner, someone asked her, how can you love everyone? And the inference was everyone in the class. And I loved Barbara's answer. Barbara's answer was, oh, the ones who are here are easy. And so it gave me a starting point. If I can just start by loving my people, the people who come to class with me, the people who come to the center, the people who may no longer come here, but the people I've connected with, I can do this. I can do this. See through the eyes of love. Experience that loving kindness in every moment, even when it's with somebody who may antagonize me and reflect back to me a belief that is not mine. Yeah, the beliefs that are not mine. It's so easy to want mine to be right. And that's the other thing I could let go of. It doesn't matter if I'm right. It doesn't matter if I'm wrong. It doesn't matter if you disagree. We are that oneness. We are that infinite possibility. We get to do it our own way on this plane. We get to experience the physicality and sensuality of this time and place and space however we want to. And every way of doing it is okay. Wow. That too freed me. To experience that, to know that. Yeah. We get to do it our way. No matter what that way may look like, smell like, feel like. Yeah, we do. And I could go on with the other lessons. There are many more. What I don't want to do is mislead you that this is simply a journey of bliss. Because this thing that we call dying has its moments. It has its moments where I sit down at the breakfast table and totally unwarned, tears start to flow. And then the sobs come. Yeah, not just at the breakfast table. When I looked around this room and saw you, each one of you, reflections of me as I am a reflection of you, that sadness surges. And I've looked at that over these past weeks, especially the weeks at home in my own space, the place that I can be solitary so comfortably. And what I recognized is, especially the weekends that my grandchildren visited, when my heart bursts open with love, it also bursts open with this incredible onset of memories, of beautiful, amazing memories that I so appreciate. And then what my mind does is it starts to project. It starts to project all that has come before that I am so appreciative and so grateful for, and it projects it into a future. And then it hits me. I have an expiration date that has been given. Yeah, I may not know exactly when it is. We all have expiration dates. We're all doing the dying thing. But when somebody gives you kind of a window of expiring, the mind wants to go beyond that. And so there's the sadness is in not that I won't be here, for surely I will. Especially I will be here for my grandchildren. The sadness is that story, and it's just a story. When I let the story go, when I lean back into that oneness, that unity, that belief in eternal life, there's the peace, there's the love, there's the joy. I can even make jokes with my stepdaughter that she thinks is morbid. And I'm gonna share this story. My twin grandsons are juniors in college this year. They go to schools about 2 hours apart. And based on their current schedules, there's a high probability, unless we treat it away, that their graduations will be at the same time on the same day. And what I told Una, my stepdaughter, is, but I get to be there at both. I get to be there at both, yeah. And when the projection was about my stepdaughter, who seems to have found her first love, as well as the great manifester, wanted to work in Manhattan. Her first job offer was in Manhattan, and there she is. So when I started to project that I wouldn't be there as her Grammy in that future observing her love, it was like, yeah, of course I'll be there. I will be there. Not just that I will, I'll try not to haunt her on her wedding night, but that's, maybe in the labor room someday, but, that's, yeah. So that was one of the ways in which sadness came to me. And just this week I realized when the journey toward release goes on, I'm also grieving. There is a level of grief because I'm leaving something I'm so familiar with, something that 80 or 90% of the time I'm so comfortable with. I'm 71 years in this physical form, and my body has been extraordinarily good to me. It has taken me around the world. It has given me 3 careers. It has brought me to this place, to be surrounded by people I admire, respect, and love, and can just hang out with forever. It's taken me down ski slopes even when I was too scared to turn. Has not taken me off cliffs at the ski slope. So many things that this body has supported me on this journey that I get it. It's okay to release it. And I can grieve it. I can be sad. Yeah, another story. Sometimes we make choices because we're always at choice, not listening to that inner voice, excuse me. Burps and belches are part of the process. And no, I'm not a new Rob Wergan. So for the first time ever, I bought a multi-area ski pass. So this year I could ski at least 2 weeks, maybe 3, for the price of 1 out west. And it hit me. I don't get to use my Icon pass. And of course that probably hit my friends who planned to go with me in a different way, at a different level, because what I'm witnessing is what might be easy for me to learn in this process and experience, not so easy for the people around you. Not so easy. And I get that. I've experienced it with my own losses. I walked my husband to the end, and it probably took 3 years before I stopped grieving his diagnosis as opposed to grieving the loss of him. So I get it. So be compassionate with each other. Each of us will have a different way of experiencing whatever loss it is in our life. What I will tell you is, do not try to suppress that sadness. Do not try to lock those feelings up someplace and maybe deal with them later. Because when we lock anything up, we're holding on. We're doing that resistance. And we know what we resist persists. So allow whatever it is that needs to come, needs to be expressed, come. Keeping it legal. Yes, I made a commitment to legality when I made a commitment to being a practitioner. Yeah. I obey some rules. Yeah. Yeah. Those who know me or have gotten to know me better see where I bend them a little according to my personal logic, but that's, yeah. And then there's a third element where sadness may come in. And this one, I know that we can intentionally change now. We can make a choice. The other area that just brought waves of sadness to me is I had no clue, or maybe some clue, but I ignored it, how incredibly supported, how incredibly loved I am. People see me differently than I see myself, or they have seen me differently than I do. Now I'm seeing more clearly. And what I'm saying to each of you, don't wait. Don't wait until the expiration date comes. Look around and remember, yes, you're always at choice, but you're never alone. And the amazing support system that surrounds each of us will just appear when you open to receive it. It will just be there. That's another component of faith. Yeah. Yeah. So I feel like that's enough of the story. I think that's enough of the lessons, but not quite. There is a quote from Ernest Holmes. Today is the only day in which we can live. And I know that there are many masters, many gurus, many writers who have said something similar. I chose to stay with Ernest Holmes because he's been my teacher through John and Barbara and many others for the last 11 years. And it really is. Today is the only day. So I invite you, live it to its fullest. And remember, part of living it to its fullest is remembering who you are and seeing who you are in the eyes of other and being who you are as peace, as love, as joy, as wisdom. It's always there. Tap into it, that indwelling power and presence that is the truth of who we are. Tap into it. Just tap into it. And knowing to master this thing called dying, next slide, is really to master this thing called living. Go do it. Do it with all of your heart. Some of the words from the song, if you have a dream, follow the dream. If you take a breath, don't take it for granted. That's living. And I am so, so grateful. I've gotten to do that. I have gotten to do that. I also encourage you, do it your way. Imitation is just not a way to try to do it because you will lose yourself. I've been there, done that. And right here, right now, I'm telling you, each of us has that gift, that talent, that wondrous and magical way of being on planet Earth that someone or lots of someones are just waiting to rub up against. Yeah. And I want to pause. I want to pause now as I finish this and just take each of you in. Let me do that. Let me do that. Wow. Just look at us. Just look at us. Gosh. Such sweetness. Such incredible sweetness. Yeah. Yeah, breathe us in. Breathe us in. We breathe the same air, we drink the same water. So many words. And the October affirmation, I forgot it was all about choice. Yeah. I created this. Of course I did, yeah. So let me applaud you. I've also decided in this process, applaud each other as often as you can. Our hearts enjoy it. Our souls feel it. Yeah. The thinker in us may question it, but that quiet observer within will absolutely love the applause, will absolutely love the love and the peace and the remembering, that incredible good remembering of who we are. I love you. I love you. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Barbara Waterhouse.
And I'm John Waterhouse. Thank you for watching this message today.
Through our website, cslasheville.org, we have over 1,000 messages, classes, and New Thought books, all to download at no charge to anyone.
Producing this incredibly valuable collection of ideas is really making a difference in the world. It's changing lives everywhere.
Please go to our website, cslasheville.org, and click the Donate button. You can support this life-changing ministry, and when you do, we'll send you a note of thanks and also put you on our daily prayers.
By doing this, you're helping to raise the consciousness of people across the entire globe. We're changing lives together, those lives that are being more prosperous, more healthy, and more joyous. Thank you for being a part of this important work and supporting what we do here at CSL Asheville.
Thank you.